This deadline that President Trump has set, 8 p.m., has threatened to destroy a civilization. How does an investor process that? Is it a bigger upside risk or downside risk?
Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. We have great news for you today. It is a good day. It is a positive show because we did not nuke a country that none of us wanted to nuke. And I think in a very negative media environment that gets so weighed down and tied down in the hullabaloo, we need to celebrate the wins. And I think that the fact that we did not nuke a country is a win. And it's a good thing. And most importantly, as the intro clip will have told you, the markets also agree. And that is one of the things that I think, look, hey, I'm like anybody else. I like getting my bread buttered. I like a little butter on my bread. I like when the market goes up. And you know who else does? Everybody. Everyone likes when the market... Trump likes when the market goes up. The Iranian people were celebrating in the streets, some of them. We're celebrating in the streets. Some say for the ceasefire. Others say for the S&P. If the Dow is up that much, rest in peace to Pam Bondi career-wise, if the Dow is up this much, we don't have to worry about nuking anyone or Epstein, and these are positive things. It is a nice day, depending on where you are. Of course, part of the ceasefire was supposed to be that Israel was not supposed to keep fighting Lebanon, and apparently reports are horrible coming out of what's happening there in Lebanon. But here, we are going to focus on the positives. Now, I want to talk today about a lot of things. We have some fun. The end of the show is going to be very fun, non-politics. We have a whole, it's a Chet Hanks show, so we talk about White Boy Summer. There's an interesting arc going on with kind of a previous character known as, and I'm just going off what we're doing online these days, the Wigger. That is what people are saying. We're going to do a little expose on that. We have some interesting new candidates popping up that we can make fun of. A little Sharks thing at the end too. But I want to talk about, I think I've figured out, we've always, if you listen to this show, you've always understood how Trump's brain works or doesn't. You've always had an idea of that. Politics on the table. I've never liked the guy. But we speak to everybody here. We understand different sides. We understand different sides of conflict here. What we do on this show is tell you what everyone is saying. Have fun with it. You can decide for yourself. But I think people struggle with Trump because, again, some people think he's an evil genius. Some people think he's a genius. It's obvious what he is. We've talked about this. He is a narcissist, and he literally governs based off of who likes him and was nice to him most recently. That is why tariffs were a brilliant policy for him. It's a direct path for him to receive gifts from people, and then he can use the entire power of the country to get nice things from people. And then if he gets nice things, then they're able to basically survive. Now, the reason that we've seen so much chaos in this administration, even more than compared to the first, though there was quite a bit, is that he effectively this time surrounded himself with the biggest, most scratched up, sore-kneed, glory hole, cum-guzzling cocksuckers that he could. And he has found Pete Hegseth, more like Pete Dick's breath. Am I right? I don't even like saying that because it disparages... Who doesn't love getting their cock sucked? That's one of those... Everyone's like, oh, you cocksucker, as if they're not performing a service. As if they're not performing a service. And it's nice to suck someone's cock. But not when it's the president and you're the Secretary of War. More like the Secretary of Gluck. But anyway, his job is to go on TV and just suck Trump's cock. And there's no there's just no attempt. Obviously, propaganda has always been part of the news and the world, but it's kind of breaking down now that there's so many different sources of it. That also comes with new forms of propaganda because now the algorithm is going to push crazier and crazier things. It makes common sense takes not do as well. We've talked about all of it. But the point is that Trump has invented something, and I've come up with a name for it because I think people aren't getting it. He's invented, and I'm calling it a cuckocracy. Right? All you have to do is be a cuck for daddy and let him fuck your bitch. And then you're going to be fine. That's it. He wants you to embarrass yourself at his altar. It's why I'm surprised that the opposition leader in Venezuela did not actually get installed when she brought him the Nobel Peace Prize, which he was just bragging about the day before he talked about erasing an entire civilization. Sometimes our greatest strength is our greatest weakness. So we have a few clips here, and folks, again, the news this week has been heavy, and it's going to continue to be. The Iran situation is not over, right? We're in the midst of negotiations. Negotiations have been blown up several times before, including the people we were negotiating with. It seems many people, a lot of the smart people that I pay attention to, are saying that what he has agreed to long term is going to strengthen the Iranian regime that he was trying to weaken, that everyone naively, and I understood the people, especially the Iranians in America, the diaspora, who are like, this, we need to free the country. I'm like, dude, I understand what you're saying, but do you know who you're talking to? He's not going to do it. He's not capable of long-term strategic thinking. You can only suck his dick so many times. You understand? You have to play the cuckocracy. Now, there's a few clips. A great one here that I think is the most fun clip, and it kind of is emblematic of it, is he's talking about Kim Jong-un here. This clip's been making the rounds. It's an interesting clip. Let's let him take it away.
To protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, and right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened.
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack here. Of course, he drops a nice R there, which is the civil rights struggle of our time, which Trump is. This is going to be controversial, but Trump is the Rosa Parks of saying retarded. He is the one who said, you know what? I'm fucking sitting where I want on this speech bus. And are we in a situation where the country is becoming more and more corrupt, more and more unhinged, more and more dangerous? Yes. But you can say it. And free at last. And we're free at last. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. Him saying he used to call him a mentally retarded person, so don't tell me about your stuff. The your stuff there. The your stuff there is doing a lot for me. How about also he clearly wants to call Biden that, but he's just like, dude, let me tell you something. And we all, and now, and let's be fair, he does things that we have done ourselves. And so as much as we hate him when he is doing things that are a net negative for the country because he's, again, incapable of long-term strategic thinking, bad. But sometimes you see a little bit of you in him because you go, maybe I've done that. Maybe I have at a party, at an event, wanted to talk some shit. But I'm not gonna do it. But you remember someone else talked some shit, and someone that is unsavory, someone that people can go, hey, man, that guy says, you know him. He'll just say whatever. And so you're allowed to basically launder your shit talking into the part. So you're able to, without technically being a bad person, launder a nice gossipy shot across the bow to one of your ops by including a third party. That's just, is it nice? No. Is it evolved? No. Is it a decent strategy? Well, yeah, it's one of his good strategies. Now, why do I bring this up in terms of the cuckocracy? Because this is how you have to start thinking about domestic and international relations. It's not complex. I think a lot of times we get caught up because in the past, there was this idea that American leaders read books and knew stuff about places, and that like if you wanted to have a good take on it, you'd need to watch CNN because they'd have a foreign policy analyst on, and this person would be someone who had talked to people in the administration, and they'd read books, and they'd maybe written papers, maybe they were a scholar, and all of that was a thing. And it's like, no, actually, you don't need to know that. You just need to study the character of the guy making the decisions, and that's not how Trump works. He is not thinking about long-term strategic American plays. He is just going, who has been nice to me? That is why he likes Kim Jong-un. Sometimes more than South Korea. Crazy thought. Very important trading partner, key ally. That's why we have so many troops there. He was just talking about them. But he's more interested in Kim because Kim got a little spicy with him, and then he was nice to him. And you know what? Sometimes when someone's mean to you and then they're nice, you go, oh, shit, fuck. Hey, it ain't so bad, eh? It ain't so bad, is it? Damn, dude, the ops became pops. Shit, let's chill. Have a soda. Pop. And that's how you would talk if you were doing that. And we'll do more on that segment later. That'll make sense. So my point is, when it feels like our enemies are our friends and our friends are our enemies, you have to think about why that is. And sometimes it's just because someone wasn't nice to Trump. He's yelling at Australia. He's yelling at England, saying NATO's bullshit because they didn't follow us into a war that basically no one wanted except for Israel. And then people get mad at that because it's like, well, actually, do you support the IRGC? No, I don't. I really don't. And I wish we had a good solution. I just never thought that one was in place. And I was right again. You don't have to be that smart. I'm not that smart, and I'm barely paying attention. It's just kind of obvious at this point. Now, the cuckocracy extends to the homeland, right? He just let go of Pam Bondi, rip in peace. We just talked about her. Now, she wasn't getting the job done, okay? So he put in, there's an acting there's an acting person in her role, Todd Blanche. Now, I don't have the clip right now. I'll either insert it, but I can just tell you what it was. Basically, they ask him, hey, are you going to be acting or are you going to get promoted to full time? And he basically was like, I love whatever Trump does. The fact that I had a job, I loved it, and I was honored to do it. The fact that I am now the acting, I believe it's Attorney General. Let me get this correct. Acting AG. Yeah, Blanche. He's like, if I'm acting AG, this is an honor. If I get promoted to AG, that's an honor. If I get sent back to my old job, that's an honor. And if I get sent to a different job, that's an honor. And I would also say it is the honor of my life. And then he added, and I love you, Mr. President. Now, we can make fun of that. Okay, we can and we should, and it's worth it because it's whack and you're part of the cuckocracy. Because you're a little baby bitch and you're not a real man and you better wipe the cum off your mouth. And I know that's dirty. And if you actually suck dick, I'd support it. But it's a metaphor. And when you do it politically, it's actually kind of really gay. And if it was really gay, it'd be awesome. Here's the point. He knows he has to, right, work some sack. Okay, work some sack, work some shaft, and obviously don't forget about the tip. Maybe that's the main event. I don't really know how he does it, but I'm just saying I could make fun of him, and I am making fun of him, and we all should make fun of him, but he's actually doing the smartest, most savvy thing. Because there's this little man who needs love, and he has found a way to exert it out of everybody. He's turned the country into his little island, essentially. It's reminding him of the old days. Now, you don't have to take my word for it or the entire fact that it's blatantly obvious when you look at his domestic and foreign policy, because I have a clip here where Trump, and this is one of his great gifts, he just straight up says it directly out loud. And in case you didn't believe me this guy, look, he's wearing a jersey from the Bay Area. He's probably some fucking lib. He's just making it up. I'm just telling you what's blatantly obvious, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can listen to the man himself.
And the other thing, this was not part of what I wanted to do, but we've done it, I guess, through sheer force of personality. We have a regime change like nobody thought was possible. They said, what do you mean you have regime change? My friend, great show. I love this guy. He's so nice to me. Every time I watch, and I appreciate. We're not supposed to be seduced that way, right? But I am. When somebody's nice to me, I love that person. Even if they're bad people, I couldn't care less. I'll fight to the end for them. So I appreciate it. But I want to see no nuclear weapon. But we also won regime change. They said.
So there it is. You don't have to take my word for the cuckocracy. It's literally laid out for you, and everyone knows it, and that's why everything you're watching is going this exact way. Now, again, this is the whole thing with Trump, where it's like, when someone just said it is a stand-up comedy ethic when you just blurt out something that is like a deep secret that no one usually says, and then you just say it and it's revealing. It's kind of like, oh, okay, fine. I guess we're saying it. Fun, cool, good. There's something charming about that. The problem is when you're a leader, you're supposed to be above your basest instincts. It's a quaint concept, the idea that leadership positions should contain people with even minute leadership qualities that defend the ideals of a nation, its concept of itself, and the people who are in power should do good things. And this is crazy. There actually have been times where people did like this country in the world. We were actually seen as a very powerful force, but a force that was largely benevolent. Seems to be going by the wayside. For what? For why? I think we should. I think most of the people are, right? But something's happening. Now, even as I'm doing this, I can kind of feel I really just wanted to go into a full Tucker Carlson cadence. And maybe that might be the final level of this show, is where I just go, sometimes you have to ask yourself why. Why would we do something like that? Is it for our people? Or is it for something else? Well, I don't really know. But the questions are open. The questions have always been there. The questions are obvious. But the answers, they seem to escape us. Not all of us, but a select few. That is awesome. That is so fun. I like doing it. That's fun to do. It's very fun to do. Is it for us? Or is it for Israel? I'm just asking questions. This is what Tucker would say. Now, here's the deal. The problem with all of this, despite the fact that we, understand it and blah, 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 is that at the end of the day, this man who needs a lot is kind of not doing well and still needs a lot. Now, as the war was going on, many of you may have seen this clip, Trump was celebrating Easter. There was an Easter egg roll, and, again, a lot of times presidents have an understanding, a sense of the moment, just generally knowing who you're talking to or what event you're at, but instead we have this address in front of the Easter Bunny.
And I don't think it gets much more hostile than Iran. They're capable fighters. They're very tough people. And there are others like that. You don't mind when the enemy is weak, but that enemy is strong. Not so strong like they were about a month ago, I can tell you. In fact, right now, they're not too strong at all, in my opinion, but we're soon going to find out, aren't we?
We need to talk to the person in the Easter Bunny costume. If you weren't watching that clip the entire time, he's having a sober conversation around war. There's a giant Easter bunny flanking him as if I'm watching a fucking scene from Donnie Darko. Can we talk to the kid who was high as fuck in that mascot? Just fucking sitting there going, do I face the wall? I would have panicked. I would have freaked out and faced the wall. I would have been like, we can't talk Iran while I'm dressed as the Easter Bunny. Like, this is the type of clip that, like, I have enough, belief that the world is just kind of run by idiots and it's, it's more Veep than it is House of Cards and all of that. But there are schizophrenics, okay, who are having their Super Bowl right now because of that clip. That's what he's doing to people. There are people who have been on the razor's edge of mental health and not sure if people are hiding signs for them, if they should be seeing things, if they should be tweaking out, and they're hearing Tucker Carlson call Trump the Antichrist and him talk about nuking Iran while an Easter bunny stands over his shoulder. I'm just telling you, if you believe people are smart and have deep ulterior motives, you are going to have a hell of a week, and I wish you well. And I wish you luck with that. Because if you believe that everything is connected and you watched fucking Peter Cottontail there flank the president during a wartime address, have fun. Have a fun week. I don't know what you do. I think you have to go shit on a fire hydrant. And I don't want you to. It's not good. It's not good for anybody, but at some point you're just like, okay, I'm going to shit on something to mark my territory because that is the only thing that makes sense anymore. Now, again, I think just kind of silly. This is just a guy who can't handle it, but good luck. Here's him talking to children at the same event about the auto pen.
Biden would use the auto pen. He'd have an auto pen following. Joe Biden, he didn't sign. He was incapable of signing his name. So they'd follow him around with this big machine. You know what it was called? An auto pen. And he'd have the auto pen signed for him. He'd take the paper, hand it to his guys, they'd sign it with an auto pen, give it back. Not too big.
Speaking to children, they don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Okay, that's the fake news.
I made Air Force.
He just keeps going.
Does anybody like the fake news?
He's asking the children who likes the fake news. Now, this is just the energy that, like, if you're at a family event and you're just fucked up, like, you're just hammered. Like, maybe the family event was like a Sunday dinner sort of thing, and you went and watched Football Sunday with the boys at the bar. You had a bunch of beers, and you're like, fuck, I'll still make the family event. But yeah, we'll have a beer. We'll have a beer and a shot. We'll have a good time. And you show up to that family event, and you are shit-faced. Next thing you know, you're at the kids' table. You're just going to talk to them about what you want to talk to them about. That's just how it works. You can't, what are you going to do? Oh, the fire truck. What you going to do? What's weird to me is just that he's not drunk. Like, if he was hammered all the time, I'd be like, God damn it, bro. He's unking. That unk's gonna unk. But instead, I'm just like, that can't be your normal brain. And that's how you talk to kids. Like, again, it's funny, but not in the context of who he is and what he's doing. The problem is, as I see it, is what he has, and I'm labeling everything today. I'm coming up with, and you know what? And that's why they call me Avery. Avery Labels. Look it up. I'm the heir to the fortune. That's not true, but I wish I was. They should send me money, or at least sponsor me. This episode brought to you by Avery Industries. This is a hat I sell, not the label company. Pay me. Now! But I've been labeling things, and I've been doing a good job. Now, maybe this isn't as catchy as the Cuckocracy, but what he has is boomer brain. Specifically, boomer politics brain. It can happen to anybody. I have friends who are young that have boomer politics brain. They get a couple drinks in them, they're at a party, they're just trying to reference politics. Like, if someone, like, I realize that the world is a serious place and we got to pay attention to these things, and I do. But if someone, like, references Pete Hegseth when I'm out at a bar, I want to lose my mind. We're not doing the war at a bar. I'd love to talk about I could do it at a pregame. Let's be honest. We'll all do it at a postgame. We know that. We don't need to talk about it at the bar. At the bar. But there's some people who, again, it's important. Again, we pay attention. But if the only thing you can talk about is politics, you're actually lacking a sense of self. You're just living in this world where you're consuming it. You think you're getting smarter. You're really just consuming information. Now, some of it's better than others. I think Trump is devouring the lowest quality of information, and what, you get in, what you get out, what you put in, right? That's what I think is happening. But even myself, like, I'm listening to things all the time, but like at some point it's just, you don't know exactly what's true. You're trying to piece it together. You have people that you trust, but these situations are complex. People feel strongly about these issues. But some people make it their entire life to just consume. You become a talking point. No one wants to be at the bar with Mr. Fox News. Fake news. Mr. fucking podcast. Mr. whatever. Like, just be you at some point. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have a him in there. He just has grievance masquerading as talking point, and he's throwing it at children. So that's what he has. He has boomer politics brain, and he's surrounded himself with a cuckocracy of people who only tell him what he wants to hear and that he's the greatest. Don't believe me? You can listen to Joe Kent, who left the administration, who was a huge MAGA Trump supporter. You can listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fuck it. You can listen to Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson if you feel like. You can listen to anybody, but he has set up a wall around him of people who guzzle the most cum, and all he can do is think about the takes that they tell him all day, and that's what's running the country. Well, that's not great. So we're in a precarious situation, and there's a clip that made me laugh, that made me happy, but it also concerned me. Okay, this is from Japanese media here, and that will become clear very quickly.
Trump always chickens out.
That's right. The term taco has been everywhere. Trump always chickens out. Let's play it again because it's fun. It's fun.
Trump always chickens out.
Trump always here's a question. If you're doing a good impression, is it racist?
Trump always chickens out.
Trump always chickens out. Now, I don't mean that with any hate. I mean that with love. And in fact, I would love a Japanese taco. What would you even put in that, dude? A little fucking sushi fries? Yeah. Here's what concerns me about it. This phrase has made it all the way to Japanese media, and it's everywhere. Like in his posts, when he didn't nuke Iran, the taco memes are coming out. It's Taco Tuesday. And the concept here is that he's got one move, right? It's like basketball. He's got one move to the rack. He can't go, he can only go right. Let's be honest. Can't go left. Left doesn't work. Can only go right. And so all he does is pretend he's a good negotiator, but everyone actually knows what he's doing. He threatens maximalist aims and then chickens out. He actually didn't have as much leverage in Iran as he's saying. He doesn't have as good of a starting point for negotiations as he's saying. The long-term ramifications of this from people that I trust, but who knows? I'm not an expert. Probably have the Iranian regime that everyone, I think, unanimously hates, getting stronger and more powerful over time and potentially having a nuke. And his whole thing about how the Obama deal was a disaster. He's about to sign a deal that's way worse. But here's the deal. I actually don't want him to hear that. And I'm worried that while this is kind of a savvy thing, investors picked up on it, people playing the market. You know, if you're really trying to see what's going to happen, you got to know he's going to chicken out. Right. The problem is, if that motherfucker starts seeing that and gets pissed off about it, I don't want him to nuke a country because he's mad at the meme. That's the thing that I'm just a little worried about. And I think it's a fair worry. But hey, you know, at least horrible things haven't happened yet, and that is a good thing. And we'll see what happens from here. Keep an eye on Lebanon because the problem here is that Israel may not have an incentive for the ceasefires as much as we do. And this is, again, one of these very complex. People have different goals and aims and different consequences, and Trump is not really capable of thinking about that. He's only capable of telling children about Joe Biden's auto pen. But most importantly, I'm on the road, folks. JoeyAvery.com. Calgary, Naples, Florida, Dania Beach, Dallas, Texas, Bernalillo, Cleveland, Rosemont, Chicago, San Francisco, Sacramento, Houston, Texas, Brea, Tempe, New Orleans. New Orleans just got added. That's going to be fun as fuck. Very pumped. I've never done headlining in New Orleans, and I will be there September 11th and 12th. Easy date not to forget. Edmonton, St. Pete, Charlotte, Detroit, San Diego. Of course, if you haven't watched my special, go to my other channel, just Joey Avery on YouTube, and please watch that special. Share it with a friend. I really want this to be something that just keeps getting out there and keeps pushing. Also, by the time you're listening to this, I will have just posted a 20-minute set from Minneapolis where I talk about, but on stage and funnier and more succinct. I talk about the Iran war, the Kristi Noem story, Tiger Woods getting a DUI, the Somali daycare scandal going on in Minneapolis, and it's fun, like a little 20-minute clipper, worth checking out if you haven't. Now, I want to move into something fun here, because I think we're entering a new era of politics. Now, we've talked about Trump's plan. It's got the cuckocracy, sure. But what not enough people are talking about is the fuckboi era of politics. This will happen. Okay, we all think that the elders will be elders forever, you know, thinking growing up, listening to barbecues, listen to John Fogerty, Clarence, what the fuck? Creedence Clearwater Revival. Did I just have a stroke? The Creedence Clearwater Revival. Say that 10 times fast and don't smell toast. I fucking dare you. But I always was like, oh, classic rock. It's like ACD, you know, it's all this shit, you know? And then it's like my kids will be listening to Avicii. At the end of the day, we all get older and our nostalgia becomes mainstream and we yearn for it because we miss the past. Subconsciously, consciously. I was just on a fucking treadmill watching EDM videos from Ultra. That's what I was doing. Because I was like, I haven't been to an actual rave or a music festival in a while, so what I will do is while I'm being a productive mid-30s professional, I will watch younger people have fun. And then I will go back to work like a good corporate slut! The point is, okay, everything, you know, you think, oh, yeah, well, that's just 20-year-olds being 20-year-olds, and then you get older, and then there's nostalgia for it. Then you miss it. Then it also becomes how old people behave. It just becomes normal. And young people go, oh, that's just old people shit. You're like, I swear to God, it was just young people shit. And then the old people shit becomes ancient. They're going to be playing Metallica and fucking Hospice at some point. That's crazy. Don't play Enter Sandman. Let them sleep well. And eventually peacefully forever. So the fuckboi era of politics, what made me think of this? I had a realization, okay, because there's this guy who hit the Twitter waves. A gentleman named Mark Moran. Now, it caught my eye because he's posting something, and if you're just listening to this video, you're just going to hear someone, you know, who speaks very, look, I'm giving you a pitch. I'm a politician. I'm one of those guys, and I'm not like the other guys. And I know the inside of things. I know how it's dirty, but I'm here to change the system. Now, It caught my eye because there was a tweet that quote tweeted it, and it was like, I have never seen someone move his body this way before. So if you're watching, I would recommend just taking a peek, because there's a flow and a movement to it that it's relatively AI. It's a little bit robotic. I'm sure it's natural to him, but it's kind of what happens when a guy who used to be the president of a fraternity entered the corporate world, and he's learned a lot of ways to speak and conduct himself. But he's sick of the corporate world, and he wants a little bit of clout. He's realized some people online are, making waves doing this, making waves doing that, but I'm going to make waves by making a difference. And a difference sometimes comes from someone who speaks, moves, labors over each word, and almost brings you it's almost frustrating, right, to listen to the way that there's a cadence of movement and a consideration of each word that, right, makes you wonder if you've lost your mind, or if maybe they're making an interesting point. Let's watch Mark here. Let's watch Mark take it away. And this, I think, is a harbinger of the type of to enter the political sphere, and it will become the norm, and I'm looking forward to the content.
250 years ago, right here at St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia, Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." My name is Mark Moran. 250 years later, I'm saying the same thing. Today, I'm going to announce that I'm breaking free from the Democratic establishment, and I'm going to run for United States Senate as an independent. I'm doing that because I'm putting our country first. I'm putting it above these divisive issues that the left, that the right, and our corporate media control. I want to talk about big, bold ideas that will save this country. We can't afford homes. We can't afford health care. We're dropping bombs on another country at the behest of another country. We're entirely controlled by corporate institutions. We make it so that when we take out a 30-year mortgage to buy a house, over 50% of what we pay over that 30 years, it goes to the bank. We're ripping off the middle class with our tax code, that the elites who are controlling us get loopholes while we don't. We need to simplify everything in this government, but we need to fundamentally restructure and turn this around so that it works for the people. Everything is wrong, and it's because money controls. That is not the system that our founding fathers designed, and I'm here to say that. I'm running as an independent because this message is about much more than me. It's about the idea of America. We're 250 years in. We have to have big, bold, beautiful ideas to change things. And it's up to us to not fall into the trap that Washington warned about, of being divided by political parties. It's time for us to unite, to realize we can close our borders, we can earn our citizenship and the right to vote, and that we can do this together. And we can put America first, we can put the Commonwealth of Virginia first, but it's up to us to take it back. Yeah. Okay, hell yeah.
Now, look, there's a lot to discuss there. It's not like he's saying anything that is totally off base. He makes some reasonable points. I think a lot of it's like platitudes. It's the same shit. Like, it's like, is it really, how are you really going to do any of that, and blah, blah, blah. But really, to me, it's the end, because the end that he keeps in, the artistic choice to at the end go, yeah, to do the, yeah, we got it take. Yeah. Cut that, fuck dick. You gotta cut that. I have done many videos. I'm actually an expert. I have fake run for mayor in so many places where I've basically done that video, but funny and self-aware. And at the end, when I think I have a take, there are times when I'll look at my camera guy and I'll go, yeah. But you know what I don't do? Keep it in. You don't keep it in, Mark. And that's my first piece of advice. That's my first piece of free advice. Now, I did completely nail his cadence, and the way he moved was interesting. But again, the overarching interesting point about this is that we're going to be getting more of these guys. We're going to be getting more Chads, Brads, Maybe even dads, maybe fathers. But that's not the point. We're going to be getting some bras running for things, and you got to pick your bras wisely. Now, I'm not saying that it's just all going to be fucking white boys running things. I think we are, believe it or not, I do think we're in a place where people are not just electing that, and that is a good thing. Diversity is our strength. But you're going to get some fucking bras in there. And as kind of a fucking bra myself, as a dude, let me just tell you, you got to pick wisely. Okay, and there's things, and every time, and I think this could really be like a nice corner for us as a podcast. Every time you see a bro or a bra running for office, pass him through my desk. I will rank that bra, and I will tell you. Because I don't know if I fuck with this bra. This is not really my kind of brand of bra, to be honest with you. You know, because this guy, he's a little more like East Coast Frat and West Coast Frat are different. East Coast Frat is kind of what he's doing. Like, he's got the I'm a common man shirt tucked into no belt jeans when he basically like worked on Wall Street. It's like, what exactly are we doing? You're not old enough to have retired from your successful job to pretend you're working on a ranch that you're really just overseeing illegals work on while you don't wear a belt with your fucking jeans. We don't believe it. Okay. Now, I do think the funny thing is anyone who makes something like that's kind of cringe enough to get my attention, there's juice there. There's juice there. Okay. He's got to really pivot like entirely. I think some natural, a movement coach, I would actually take him to dance classes because I think he's very loose, but it's giving, like, it's not giving sexual freedom. It's giving coercion. And the way he moves, it's rigid flowy, right? And so we got to work on the movement a little bit. We got to work on the look a little bit. And the cadence, it's so much, the cadence, right? And so what we need to do is not exactly doing like the cadence of a frat boy Obama. We don't need that. No, a little smooth, dude, like smooth, right? West Coast frat guy would just come in and be like, dude, you know, and this is obviously like a lot. Like, you know, they're not going to be like, dude, fuck, like, they're taking your shit, dude, and you deserve more shit for that shit that they're taking. You got to keep it simple because when you do the like, I'm running outside the system, all right? Like, people have tried it before, so like, why are you different, right? But West Coast frat guys just a little more to the point. In fact, and I've literally supported him, JT Parr, for whatever office he runs for, I'm voting for him. He is the perfect example because he gives the frat energy, but he's actually an incredibly intelligent person with very measured ideas. Shout out JT. We support him forever. Now, this is kind of a segue. This is a culture segment. We're exiting politics now because what we have is the return of the Wigger. Now, I'm only... because there was a time when people were like, you're not allowed to say that, but there is a trend flying around the internet right now that it really speaks to my soul because it's about my people and about my era of growing up. And it is also my favorite song, which is Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. And that song plays, and I'm not going to play it on here, or maybe I'll try it and I'll cut it if I have to, because I don't think I'm monetized, so it probably doesn't matter. But the trend is, and you may have seen it, it's, hey, Unc, what were you like as a Wigger? And it's usually just like a fucking like dad-looking white dude, and then you cut to his glory days, and it's dudes just like sending it, dude, sipping fucking Henny, dude, driving the whips, hanging with the boys, rapping on SoundCloud, like looking like they're having fun, In fact, throw up a picture of me kind of doing it, but that's stolen valor because I would dip a toe in, but like, it's really, I think what's beautiful about this trend is that it's about people that were about that life. Now, sometimes they're kind of traitors and they've moved out of it, but it's about people who like were really doing it, okay, who were part of the culture, who were going to the right shows with the right people, who were not just, because culture vulture, the idea is that like, yeah, you stole a culture, but you're actually not about it and you're going to switch up on them, which some of these people did, but like some of them were like really in it, and it's kind of beautiful. And I think that the internet is coalescing around it for two reasons. One, what we just talked about earlier, the nostalgia effect. People remembering a different time. And two, that there was an authenticity to it. It was like, all right, these people are being fucking homies. Okay, now, in the midst of this trend, Chet Hanks, the prime minister of White Boy Summer, decides to weigh in. And I was so excited when I saw this clip because you see him, I know the trend, and I can't wait to see Chet's old images. And here's what he does. About that life, he doesn't switch up. He stays in the pocket. He took that trend and hit it on its core. I'm about that life. And I didn't even switch up. That's why, as much shit as people have given him, he's having a long-term positive arc. Because people are like, yeah, that's Tom Hanks' son. But he wasn't kidding. He wasn't kidding about. I think we hated him. I say we, but like I think as a society, it's like people were like, dude, this guy is full of shit. He's not about that action. Well, maybe he is. Maybe he is. And I've been seeing there's been a lot of celebration of one. I saw a tweet. This was featuring one. I believe the tweet here was Atlanta is a laboratory in which the most advanced and modern new wiggers are made. And people were commenting, this one is weapons grade.
If you had $1 billion, what would you do? All right, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get some chicken wings. Then goddamn, the second thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get all my baby mamas. I'm gonna get all my baby mamas a goddamn $1 million. Saying, leave me the hell alone. I love y'all though. I'll give them $1 million, leave their ass alone, right? And then I'm gonna hit up Billie Eilish. I'm gonna get her 10 mil, just let me hit.
Billie Eilish?
Yes, and then after I hit, she gonna marry me. I just need to get in the door with her. Billy, I love you, Shawty. Yeah. That's why I'm spending my money on. Billy, my baby mamas, some chicken wing, and everybody be telling me to get a car, but I can't get no license. I ain't gonna get no car yet. Ooh, I'll buy a driver. I'm gonna buy a car and some look. Just a little bit.
Where you gonna get your chicken wing from?
A little bit.
Shit, anyway in Atlanta. Hey, hello, goddamn. I might go to La Curie for the goddamn wing. I might goddamn go to JJ, you know, something like. I might hit Trap Wing, goddamn. American Deli, you can't go wrong American Deli. I might buy American Deli. Fuck it, I'm gonna buy a wing spot. Fuck buying the wings. Hell.
Look at that. Now that's a beautiful celebration right there. That's a beautiful moment. But someone quote tweets this and says, even though the Wigger affects their speech and dress, his long-term thinking betrays him. He buys a wing franchise instead of buying wings. Risk assessment and arbitrage are undeniable parts of his nature. Now, that could be racist. I'm not even sure, but it makes you laugh. And I think that we're headed for a nice time where people are, and I know this is, again, maybe this is two rose-colored glasses, who knows, but like part of me is like, we're having an appreciation of different kinds of people. We're not looking at that and going, that's wrong, that's bad, that's shitty. We're going, that's authentic, that's beautiful. That's really something right there. And it can apply to that. It can apply to, yeah, you know what? Fine. Weird guys who are obsessed with Japanese culture. Maybe next year. Maybe next year they'll have their moment. Ponytail guy with a katana. Come out of mom's basement and receive your flowers. If the Wiggers have this year, maybe you get next year. And maybe we should pick someone new to celebrate that has broken the mold, but actually is a pioneer and has been there for a long time. It's kind of beautiful, and it's really about authenticity. Now, that brings us, of course, to Jake Paul, who had an interesting moment this week. He was on Theo Von, and Drewski had this, just completely nuclear, no, maybe not the week to use that phrase, but Erica Kirk-based sketch about conservative women, and Jake Paul was like, okay, I'm going to do a blackface one. He hasn't done it yet, but he was like, yeah, let me talk about it. And his argument is basically, well, if he can do whiteface and we can't do blackface, then we're saying we're not equal. Now, I'm going to take that argument head on and discuss that. Let's just briefly note that the reason they can do whiteface and we can't do blackface is because of an incredibly horrible recent history of how it was used and whiteface not having that history ever. That is why. That's the reason. It's actually the whole reason. The conversation could end there. It'd be easy. But I want to actually attack this one because he's using an argument that I sometimes think is appropriate. The argument being, there's a concept in comedy where it's like punching down is not acceptable, right? Oh, you're just punching down. You're punching on the little guy. Well, when you apply that to race, there's an inherent structure of supremacy in it, right? That's the intellectual understanding of this. Like, okay, if you're saying I can't ever make fun of Asian people, and you're saying that's because I'm punching down, what you're saying is you're assuming that I am on top of them, and I am not making that assumption, right? And that's what he's trying to say. Now, where you just have to do a tiny bit of some critical thinking is that, like, yes, I agree, everyone should be within limits. However, when you do want to fucking go there with people, you're going to have to understand their backlash, where it's coming from and why. Drewski did make that calculation. Conservatives are fucking pissed. Jake Paul, whatever he says, is a very much a conservative, big MAGA guy, just did an event with Trump. He's in his feelings about it. He's pissed. So he's basically like, all right, if you can hurt my feelings with it, then maybe I can hurt your feelings with it. And he, like many things, is saying it without much historical context and using what can sometimes be a good argument in a situation where it's not. But that's going to be too much for him to comprehend. All right, final little story here. And this one is near and dear to my heart. And it's very niche. It's very niche. And I foreshadowed it all episode by wearing this jersey because I'm going to talk about the San Jose Sharks. And I'm going to talk about something that needs a home and it needs a broader conversation. The San Jose Sharks. Now, if you don't like hockey, I promise this becomes a story about AI. It'll be interesting. The San Jose Sharks are maybe the franchise I feel closest to. I grew up going to games with my dad, season tickets. I played hockey. I wanted to play for the Sharks. I played at the Sharks practice facility. They are the team that is based in San Jose. Like, if they win a cup that's so close to my house, that feels like ours, whereas like everything Bay is awesome, but the Bay is everything. But San Francisco don't even give a fuck about the Sharks. So it's like, holy shit, that is really concentrated, right? I love them, okay? I'm a fan. You rally around it when you feel like the small guy, all this. This is what people don't understand about foreign policy. We've talked enough about that. Back to hockey. Now, they changed their goal song this year. They score a goal, a song plays. They were like, we partnered with an artist. We wanted to make something new and do something for the team, and it sucks. No one likes it. Change the song. Better not hear that song next year. Change the song. That argument has picked up even more steam because people on Reddit did an investigation and found out that the artist who made the song has an account on an AI songwriting platform and has a song on that platform that is basically the song. Ergo, the Sharks are the first team to be using an AI slop goal song and feeding it back to their fans. Change the song. We have a lot of songs that are connected to Sharks history that, yes, they come with royalties. Yes, one of them was tied to Gary Glitter. It's the song I would bring back, although when you read about Gary Glitter, he was doing horrible things to children. So I understand why they changed that one. But we have other ones too, and it's really not about him. It's about us, but sure, they have other ones too. The point is, this is going to start happening in arenas across the country, in commercials in every single industry. Hollywood is fighting against it. Now they're fighting against a tidal wave. But Hollywood at least has some unions, has some representation, has some organizing power to be like, we don't want AI slop. We can feel it. Yes, music follows tried and true rhythms and blah, 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 blah. But we don't like an AI slop goal song. Pay the royalties to a real artist. You can afford it. Now, I love the Sharks, and I'm not even mad at them. This is just, it was worth a shot. And they might not even have known that it was AI. Who knows? Who cares? We don't like the song. Give us a real song. Sports are like food. What makes them important? Because otherwise they are a distraction. Like, you know, I should just eat salad every night. I don't need to eat a pizza on a Thursday night. I should just be working or reading a book. Maybe shouldn't be watching 3 hours of a game every night. What makes them important and what makes them even deeper with us as we get older is they become a connection to our past. They become a piece of tradition. They become something that is so much more than the organization, than the players in it, than the jersey, than the time. It becomes your way of you and remembering yourself and forming new memories that you can connect with old memories. It's what makes it beautiful. It's what makes people care about it. As sports franchises realize that they can insert AI into all those things and it's easier and it's cheaper and it's whatever, they will try to do that. And I'm not even totally mad at them for doing that, but it literally comes down to the fans being like, we don't want that. Because when I want to hear a song, I don't care if it's fucking trite pop crap. I want to hear a song, and whenever I have a fucking child and I bring him to a game and I'm high-fiving him after a goal, I want that song to be a song made by humans for humans, and it's not too much to ask. Change the song. That's my plea. And it ties in to the entire concept of this episode, which is that nostalgia does matter. People care about their things. This is something I think we don't think about when we go bombing other countries. Now, if you've made it this far, you probably agree with me, so I'm preaching to the choir. But there's a really basic piece of human understanding that goes, I understand that like war is part of life. And like if I had seen the things in the Pentagon and the risk assessment and all that, sure, great. What you have to think about is long-term thinking. And what you have to understand is that human beings will react like human beings when you do inhumane things to them. People will rally around a flag when you bomb them. They will remember. People in Lebanon will remember what's happening to them this week. They will always remember. It will make them support more fervently, more viciously, whatever group tells them they'll fight for them. If I can sit here and feel proud wearing a Sharks jersey because I grew up 15 minutes from a stadium and went to some games, what do you think people feel about a flag? There are ways that we have pushed American dominance and ideology across the globe. And we have actually sometimes done it in ways that are positive, that have helped people. And this administration cut pretty much all of those ways. We're wasting money until we go to war and bomb people. That makes people angrier. That makes us need more war, where we can spend more money. But for the love of God, don't send AIDS medication to Africa. That would really piss people off. Long-term thinking, understanding people. These are very important things. Now, one final note here. I want to do a shout out to everyone who came out in Minneapolis. That was a very fun weekend. But in particular, after one of the shows, Jess, Lindsay, and Maya, who came the year before as well, and really wanted me to bring up a concept that I brought up when I did Lauren Compton's show back in Austin. And I forgot about this because I did it on that show, and I haven't done it on here. And it really is a concept that I think a lot of people can relate to. And I think the concept was like, what is the perfect date, right? And I was like, I wasn't really prepared, but I was just thinking about it, and I was like, dude, fucking catching a day fade. Catching a day fade. It's not, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's a nice Saturday. Yeah, fuck it. Let's bring a bottle of wine to the beach. Getting a little fucked up while the sun's out. Not crazy. Not getting belligerent. Just a little day, catching a little day fade. Feeling it, dude. The sun's pumping. The day feels like it's never going to end. You're catching a little day fade, getting a little drunk during the day. It's a nice time. It's an important thing. And I think some of you should give it a try this weekend if the weather's nice. Sure, there's the great thing about the day fade, too, is like if you're like, hey, I don't want to be hungover the next day, you can shut it down. Have some water at night, calm down, watch a movie. Boom, you caught a day fade. You're still good by Sunday. If you're like me, you don't really have that off button. That's a problem. But guess what? Day fade into night fade. Now you basically just did 2 parties at once. That's basically, you're basically having 4 weekends in one. If you do a day fade, now obviously double day into night, you know, it can get a little bit tough. But you catch a little day fade, dude. It's a nice time. So just bringing back the day fade for people. It's a beautiful thing. And I was thinking about this today, and then I will leave you for next week. But you know, some of the greatest partiers I ever knew are some of the most successful people that I know today. I think that's counterintuitive. I think people don't understand that. I think people see someone who's really getting after it, especially in their 20s, and is just like, you know, you show up to a music festival with this person. There was a guy I met. I went to Coachella with this guy, and I don't really even know him. I went with him twice, and he would show up, and we were like, oh, we're staying at a house. We have a house with a pool, whatever. And he would show up, and he'd be like, oh, that's cool. And he would leave on day 1. This happened 3 years in a row. And he would go in shorts, no shirt, just a pair of shorts. And he would walk into the festival, and he would not return for 3 days. He would not come back to the house. He didn't have a campsite. He didn't have a change of shorts. Didn't have a shirt. What he had was that dog, and it was in him. And he would go, and he and that dog that lived within him would enjoy Coachella, rip up the dance floor, go to the afters, find someone, probably copulate with them, if that is the right phrase. They'd probably make love. I don't really know. Maybe not. Maybe he was just with the boys. Maybe he went straight to a beer pong table and just kept it going. Maybe he slept in a porta potty. I do not know what he did, but he had fun, and we'd run into him over the course of the 3-day period. And he was always smiling, and he was always happy, and he always had that dog in him. And then he would come back after day 3, and he'd be like, boys, that was awesome. I'm going to head back. And he was smiling. He was happy. He still had it. Not a lot of people have that engine. I pride myself on having a good engine. I didn't have one quite like that. I need to sleep. I need to reset. I have that dog in me, but my dog likes to nap. Now, when I checked in on him years later, because I don't really know him that well, he's a friend of a friend, my friend said, oh, that's my most successful friend. That is my most successful friend. He is very high up, I think, at a law firm. He makes a shitload of money. Still has that dog in him. He's just taking that dog on a new walk. And so I think it's this important thing where, like, you got to make sure you keep that dog in you. But over time, you need to retrain that dog into doing different things, right? You can take that same energy, that go, go, go that you partied with, you can put it into building the life you want. Every once in a while, if you have that dog, you're going to have to let that dog out for a little bit. You're going to have to let that dog out a little bit. But that's okay. And it will allow you, okay, to move through life in a beautiful way. So if you are someone who maybe struggles with it, because I know some people who I've enjoyed hanging out with, having a good time, and they really like to party. But, you know, as you get older, sometimes you start doing it, and it's like, maybe that wasn't in a good way. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Just know that's okay. You just have to take care of you and take care of that dog. Don't deny it. If it's in you, you could be great. Now, I'll tell you who doesn't have that dog in them. Anyone who has made a mockery of their entire political beliefs, ideology, semblance of morality, any of that, to take part in the humiliation ritual that is taking place in the Cuckocracy. They don't have that dog in them. They simply don't. They might have that pussy in them because they're getting fucked. Take care, folks. Take care of that dog. Be great. Be awesome. I will see you next week. This has been The Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Good night. Thank God I have a podcast.